I wish I knew this about yellow mustard a long time ago. I didn't realize that I was missing out on the true benefits of mustard. I mean, I was getting something that tasted fine, and I've always kind of liked the taste of mustard, but it wasn't until really about 6 or 8 months ago that I learned about the really unique benefits of mustard. But then digging into the research and understanding the randomized controlled trials and some of this other stuff, I'm realizing yellow mustard doesn't have what we really want in it. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not to demonize yellow mustard. Like, it's perfectly fine. It's a great condiment. But when you're looking at the actual benefits of mustard, from appetite suppression, fat loss, even the insulin resistance benefits, anti-inflammatory benefits, it all comes down to a compound that's in mustard. And it turns out that yellow mustard comes from white mustard seeds and ultimately white mustard flour, which lacks the enzyme. It lacks the actual compound that gives us the benefit. So we're going to talk about how to choose the right mustard, what you can do, and also the really cool benefits, and when maybe yellow mustard might come into play, maybe if you have no other option. I put a link down below for urolithin A from Timeline Nutrition. I'm all about mitochondrial health. Okay, mitochondria, that is everything to me. I'm a metabolic health person. That's just what I do on the internet, right? So, and I find something that it can increase what's called mitophagy. That's autophagy at a mitochondrial level. I get pretty excited. Multiple peer-reviewed journals have published clinicals from Timeline Nutrition on this compound urolithin A. So what it does is it helps the mitochondria become more efficient and stronger by recycling unused components and kind of worn out components of it. So in essence, they found that it improves muscle quality, it improves mitochondrial health, it can potentially be good for longevity. So that link down below gets you 10% off. I've been taking this stuff for a long time. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon talks about it. This is something that isn't a fly-by-night product. This is a legit thing that has legit peer-reviewed research behind it. So that link down below gets you 10% off. Check them out after this video. So the active component in mustard that has the fat loss effect, yes, legitimate fat loss effect, it actually increases brown fat activation, and it actually can turn on more beta oxidation. That active component is called AITC, or allyl isothiocyanate. Now, this compound can only get activated if you crush a mustard seed that contains myrosinase, which is an enzyme. So normally mustard seeds have this, right? But we run into a problem. So when a mustard seed gets crushed, the myrosinase can now interact with what's called glucosinolates, and it creates this AITC, which all the research on mustard for appetite suppression, which bodybuilders have used mustard for a long time for this, okay, for fat loss, for inflammation, for insulin resistance, almost all the benefits come from that AITC. So if you are not having freshly ground mustard, it doesn't do the same thing. However, if you crush the seeds in your mouth, it does do the right thing. So the whole grain mustard, that stone ground mustard that has the little seeds in it, if you get that, you are sitting pretty. That's the kind of mustard you really want to opt for if you're looking for fat loss benefits. If you're looking for real metabolic benefit, you want that. That's the top tier you could possibly get, okay? Now, next in line is going to be Dijon, because Dijon comes from black mustard seeds and brown mustard seeds, which have the highest concentration of the myrosinase and ultimately the AITC. But what's interesting is you might be thinking, well, that's not getting crushed in your mouth because it's usually smooth. The high vinegar content and the pH level that changes in the Dijon mustard actually preserves the overall AITC more. So even though it's been crushed and ground, now the AITC is active, it only has a certain amount of time before it's denatured and breaks down. The vinegar preserves it. So that pungent vinegary taste you get from Dijon is actually really helpful in this case. Now, next in line is going to be spicy brown mustard. But now if you look at spicy brown mustard, you might see a couple things. If you look at the ingredients and you see, oh, it says mustard flour followed by mustard seed, I would put that one back. You want to opt for one that says ground mustard or mustard seed first, because mustard flour is just going to give it mustard volume, but not the actual benefit. And again, I say this wholeheartedly. Yellow mustard is fine. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I still think it has powerful benefits in terms of just curbing your appetite because of the powerful taste alone. But if you're looking for the true active component, it's not going to help you that much. So the spicy brown mustard, it's kind of hit and miss depending on the brand. Then of course the yellow mustard, and probably the worst is going to be the honey mustards, because the high fructose corn syrup is just garbage anyway. But then also, like, all these other things could denature this. So anytime there's preservatives added and these other things, you run the risk of it breaking down these AITCs, these active components that are in the mustard. Probably the most powerful way that mustard is really important is through its effect on appetite suppression. There's a study that was published in the International Journal of Food Science and Technology. This was super cool because it was a human study. They took 90 subjects and they evaluated how mustard impacted their appetite. Essentially, mustard decreased their likeness for food in the short term by increasing the salt perception and decreasing the sugar perception. So it was so powerful at shocking the brain, so to speak, with pungent flavor and just TRPV1 activation and TRPA1 activation, that it actually overrode the entire process of hunger. So people would eat less. That's why if you're dieting, have mustard. It can have a huge effect. But the really important thing to note, it was the AITC that was doing this. So the AITC hits these receptors, these particular receptors that are, they receive a signal for chemical irritants and spicy things. The TRPV1 receptor is most noted for how capsaicin hits it. It increases your body heat. It's known in Eastern medicine to be something that increases the energy flow through your body because it's basically getting you hot, right? This is all good, and mustard does that too, but the TRPA1 receptor receives a signal for chemical irritants. Now, mustard is a chemical irritant in the way that it is pungent, right? So the more vinegary the mustard, the more pungent and spicy the mustard, and the fresher the mustard, the more powerful the effect on appetite and also on fat loss. I would say 90% of the literature on mustard is coming back to these AITCs. So if you are just getting yellow mustard, you have a great condiment, but you're missing out on the benefits. And it's such a cheap condiment. I am a firm believer that mustard is where it's at as a condiment. Minimal calories, almost undetectable amounts in many, and you're getting these huge inflammation benefits, fat loss benefits, and most importantly, appetite and food noise benefits. So definitely keep it locked in here in my channel, and don't forget to drop a quick comment down below to help the algorithm. See you tomorrow.